It's funny how life imitates art. Um, I've been struggling in the last 45 minutes to make this video. By the way, this is Mark Smith with Family Tree Counseling Associates. My web camera has some software, and all of a sudden it's not working with my computer. So I just thought I'd do this live, but I think it's private, but we'll see. But ironically, I'm talking about 12 keys to resiliency in recovery. Recovery is all about resiliency. So I've had a rough week, folks. On Sunday, my brother and son and two nephews went to play basketball, and my son broke a bone in his foot. Yesterday, our air conditioning unit either got struck by lightning or just died on its own, a natural death. We don't know. The bad part is my wife's sister was staying there at the time with our brother-in-law. So really sort of sucks. $5,500 later. So it does feel as if the universe is speaking to me to talk about adversity and being resilient in the face of adversity. Another thing that we've in our family struggled with and have had to have resiliency about is we have 4 generations of bipolar disorder that strikes about 50% of the women in the family. And even of late, it's striking the 4th generation, some of the males. And it's just so sad to see that happen. So let me, in my struggling place where I feel like a sapling tree being blown in a hurricane, let me give you first the definition of resiliency from the dictionary: the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, toughness. Resiliency is toughness. The ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape. Elasticity, flexibility, pliability, suppleness, plasticity, elasticity, springiness, and give. So having flexibility in a hurricane. Psychological resilience is the ability to cope with a crisis or to return to a pre-crisis state fairly quickly. Resilience exists when a person uses mental processes and behaviors in promoting personal assets and protecting self from the potential negative effects of stressors. So recovery is all about resiliency. Those of you out there who've been recently shattered, I feel your pain. I remember what that was like. It was just so horrifically scary and awful. And if you're going to survive, if you're going to live, if you ultimately are going to thrive, you're going to need a whole lot of resiliency. In life, in recovery, whether you have complex PTSD or whether you have been narcissistically abused, you are going to have to dig out of some holes. You're going to get into some emotional holes, some career holes, some relationship holes, some financial holes. And you're going to need to do some digging, and it takes these 12 qualities. Number one is it takes a whole lot of friggin' determination. You have to want to live. You want to overcome. You have to be hungry to do those things. Life is one day, I think it was Dave and Buster's, and there was a game in there called whack-a-mole. You know, it's like as soon as one mole came up, you give it a whack, and then another mole would pop up, and you'd have to give another whack, and it's like that's the way life is when you've been through narcissistic abuse. Is as soon as you get your finances in order, something goes wrong at work. As soon as you get work in order, something goes wrong in your extended family. As soon as something gets better in your extended family, something in your health goes south. As soon as that gets better, something in your relationship blows up. But you have to have a tremendous amount of ability to be determined to beat this and not have it beat you. You're going to need, number two, a lot of faith. I believe that things happen for a reason. I believe in God. I believe the Lord works in mysterious ways. And we need to go through shattering, many of us, because Mother Nature or God would like very much to heal us, but we have these defense mechanisms that are quite ferocious and titanium strength. So what we need, unfortunately, is to be broken, to be shattered. How does Mother Nature go about shattering us? We find people to love us. We recruit people to love us who basically love us the same way we're loved growing up. That's the God's honest truth, folks. It really is a difficult thing to consider. It seems like Mother Nature would give you a break. Like if you grew up in a really horrific, dysfunctional childhood, like you'd be given a break, and then, you'd marry somebody loving and kind and sweet and safe. That ain't it. We're wired. Our sexuality is calibrated by the wounds of our childhood. And however you were damaged and wounded, you will marry a hidden version of that and fall in love with them and wake up 7, 10 years later, 12 years later and realize, oh my God, I married my father, I married my mother. The third thing you're going to need a whole lot of is insight. Jack Nicholson says in A Few Good Men, you can't handle the truth. And so many times in my life, circumstances come on, and it's like somebody flipped on a light switch. I'm like, why didn't I see that before? It was right there in front of me. How could I have been so blind? But your defense mechanisms are meant to keep you blind, even as you're standing right in the situation. As I read earlier in the definition, you're going to need a whole lot of flexibility. You're going to need to be willing to try new things. I have a friend who's 2 years older than me, 62 years old, and he's doing yoga. And he's a big guy, and it's helping him tremendously, and he's working really hard at it. What I tell people in terms of being flexible is sometimes you just have to wait for life to come to you. Many times, Michael Jordan, my favorite sports player of all time, was interviewed at halftime, and he goes, "Dude, you only have 6 points," and he goes, "I'm just waiting for the game to come to me." Um, so your plan A may not work. Your plan B may blow up in your face. So have a plan C too. Um, Part of trying new things, something I shared recently, is be open to new tools for your recovery. I shared 3 months ago that I had met a healer from Australia, Zephyr Jali, and my body. The thing about complex PTSD and narcissistic abuse is the wounds are in your body. Your brain is damaged, your rhythm in your body is damaged. You're going to be tempted to undereat or overeat, and your body is out of whack. And you can review that video that I shared, both interviewing Zephyr and one we made on a live stream. But just simple things like soaking your body in a tub with Epsom salts, or taking fulvic minerals and putting it in juice and drinking that. Um, Very simple things that can energize your body. Taking high quantities of vitamin B or niacin. Um, Another thing that I've done in terms of my own personal recovery that's been tremendously helpful is I've started the keto diet. I don't know if a lot of you are familiar with the keto diet, but basically it's fish and vegetables. And that sounds boring, but it's really not boring. You can substitute in beef from time to time, or lamb, or even chicken, and eggs. But what it's done for me, I've lost 15 pounds, but it also has cancer fighting effects, and it just has given me a great deal of energy. And anything that you can use in recovery that'll give you energy and help you feel better and help you live longer, help you think clear, is a great thing. Um, Another thing that's a key to resiliency is exercise. Um, you have to pretend like you're training for the Olympics if you want to recover from complex PTSD and narcissistic abuse. I love the game of basketball, but I'm so old, 60 years old, and where I play with a bunch of really young, really talented players. And sometimes I experience a lot of defeat and a lot of humiliation, but I keep running out there because it's community, and the feeling that I have when I'm done running 6 games of full court, it's such a peaceful, wonderful, healing feeling. There's endorphins flowing, and it feels better if I hit a bunch of 3 pointers. But if all I did was set picks and get rebounds and hang out with the guys and get sweaty, that feels good too. You're going to need a whole lot of resiliency if you're going to be in a relationship. Uh, every time I see a 25-year-old walk down the aisle, I see 2 lambs being led to the slaughter. And we smile and we cry at the wedding, and we just think it's so wonderful, like it's really going to be wonderful for long term, for the next 40 years. Everybody I know, everybody I've ever worked with has grown up in a highly dysfunctional family, And at some point in relationship, you go through hell and back. And those of us who've been through narcissistic abuse, we're not the only ones that experiences that. Everybody experiences that. So it takes a lot of faith in the process of recovery, in the process of therapy, and believing in your partner that they can do the work, and finding a really talented, excellent therapist. An excellent therapist can make all the difference in the world. Because when you're sitting in a room and somebody can break down exactly what's going on and communicate it in a way that you can both choke it down and get it right, that is priceless. You're going to need a lot of resiliency financially. This has been a struggle for me. Before the monsoon hit about 12 years ago, where I was married to my anti-type, a really solid, good, conservative woman who'd never hurt a fly, and finances were good. But as you go through narcissistic abuse and your walls come down and you realize that there's a wounded little kid at your core, you're gonna blow your life up. It isn't the booger man or the narcissist who has the power to blow your life up. You have to let him in the door. You have to go out on the date. You have to get in the relationship. You have to say, I do. They don't put a gun to your head. You do it because you're reliving and reenacting how you were loved growing up. So it's been a great joy for me to have excellent periods of recovery where I can work on digging out of holes financially when there were times when my recovery wasn't so good. You're going to need, if you're going to have resiliency in your recovery, you're going to have to do an awful lot of hard work, because there will be setbacks, and you're going to have to be very patient, very determined, very patient, eye of the tiger, work hard, do the right things. The 11th thing is having a sense of empowerment. It's wonderful to have a sense of empowerment. You start doing healthy things, right things, eating right, sleeping well, um, uh, learning how to set healthy boundaries, taking good care of yourself, nurturing yourself. Then you're gonna start to feel empowered. As you pay your credit cards off, you're gonna feel a sense of empowerment, and it's going to give you a sense of joy. And the last thing you're going to need in terms of resiliency in your recovery is momentum. Recovery is all about momentum. Resiliency is all about momentum. You're either moving forward in your recovery or you're moving backward in your recovery. There is no just standing still. And so you're basically either feeding your addictions and putting yourself in harm's way and setting yourself up for shattering, or you're really practicing self-care and setting good boundaries. And one of my favorite things that I had taped on my mirror, I've shared this before, as I was working on digging out of a hole. It was a Chinese fortune, out of a fortune cookie. It simply said, through hard work and integrity and consistency, your credits are mounting up. So practice your recovery, do your meditation, do your yoga, get your exercise, eat right, pray, listen to a lot of books on recovery, watch a lot of videotapes, cry. One of the best things that you can do for your recovery is to cry, 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 and cry some more. Go to a really good therapist. Go to a therapist who understands narcissistic abuse, who also understands family of origin issues, and has done their own work. And that person will be able to help you a great deal. So, all of us saplings in a hurricane can grow to be mighty oaks someday. But when you're going through it, it's scary and you get whipped around and you wonder if you can withstand it. But I'm here to tell you that keep putting one foot in front of another, keep doing the right thing, keep paying down your credit cards, put the ice cream down, and make yourself exercise, and it will give you a resiliency and a strength and a toughness that can help you thrive and recover from anything that you go through. So check out our website, familytreecounseling.com. We just rehabbed it. It looks different. It looks cooler. We've got links there where you can go to Amazon, to Kindle, and download books. So I'd like to invite you to do that. The second thing is, if you haven't joined, subscribe to the channel here, do that. And then every other Tuesday night, you'll be notified that we do a live stream show. Jerry Wise sometimes leads it. My wife Brenda sometimes leads it. In 2 weeks, I'm going to lead it. Unfortunately, we don't have a show this week because my wife and I are headed to San Francisco to meet my son's future in-laws and check out some really cool stuff. We're doing Alcatraz at night, so that's going to be really cool. Hey, be resilient, be tough, have faith. I love you guys. Thank you for watching, and God bless.